Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our very last live session for UXI-115 UX Process and Theories. In this live session, we're going to discuss week 8, career focus and reflection. So let's dive right on in. So, for today's agenda, we're going to do a course overview as always. Also, going to do a week 8 overview as well as a recap of all of our sessions and slides that we previously discussed. I'm going to also provide you with some reminders before I give you a huge congratulations for making it to week 8. Now, for some class rules, as you know, our live sessions are being recorded and saved underneath the web meetings, and that way you can access them if you are watching the replay, so you can submit your takeaways and receive credit. Also, you can access our previous live sessions and slides underneath our class YouTube channel, so make sure you go and subscribe. I ask that you please have your video on, but I understand if you have to take your video off, as well as your mic. So I ask that you have your mic on mute. But if you are having difficulties viewing the slides as well as the video, audio issues, please, you can take your mic off or send me a message in the chat, and I'll make sure to make some accommodations for that. Now, I would love for you to engage. I have a few questions to ask you throughout this entire session. So please make sure that you're engaging in the chat and you're connecting with all of your other classmates as well. So let's dive right on in to our course overview. In this course, you will learn key theories and processes to help you create usable, useful, and delightful products that answer users' needs. You will also work with software tools such as Adobe XD and or Figma. Now, in regards to the course project, which you complete in week 7, throughout this course, you will focus on redesigning an existing restaurant's mobile app by identifying problems, performing user research, producing and improved product design, and conducting usability testing. Now, in regards to the goal for the course project, is to produce a better user experience in the existing restaurant app and create a UX case study asset to add to your growing capstone portfolio. So, now that we are in week 8, we're going to focus on career as well as reflection. So, for the week 8 overview, this week you will reflect on what you've learned in this class. You will also complete a career readiness assignment. Throughout this certificate program, you will have several assignments related to career readiness to help prepare you for the workforce. Now, some objectives for week 8 in regards to the topic career focus and reflection. We're going to refresh your memory on what you read and learned, reflect on the concepts learned in this course, exhibit professionalism in oral and written communications, submit all late work for credit before the deadline, as well as provide feedback of me, the instructor, and this class in a survey. So let's talk about the past few weeks for UX process and theory, starting with week 1 overview, the user experience design process. Now, some of the objectives that we touched on are listed here. We explained the importance of user experience design. We defined accessibility and usability. Also, we identified user experience design principles and goals, explained the advantages of involving users in development, apply user-centered design principles, as well as identify the 4 basic activities involved in interaction design. So, what is UX design? User experience, or UX, refers to the entire interaction you have with the product, including how you feel about the interaction. A UX designer focuses their work on experience of the user and how they interact with the product. And the main goal is to make products that are usable, accessible, and enjoyable to use. Now, We also discuss usability versus accessibility and also their similarities. So, usability is the ease of use, efficiency, and user centric design. Then we have accessibility, which focuses on content that meets the law established requirements for anyone with disabilities. Also, focuses on users with physical needs um, when it comes to using tech and their limitations that they might have to overcome, as well as access to content. And then, in regards to the similarities, both usability and accessibility focus on enhanced user experience for all users. Then we move on to week two overview, which we discuss user research methods. Now, some of the objectives for the user research methods in week two are to recognize different user research methods, identify which methods to use for different UX needs, define and identify qualitative research methods for UX design, and then conduct qualitative user research and compile results. Now, why is user research important? User research helps uncover important and useful insights about the user and their needs. Until you know your user and their needs, emotions, feelings, struggles, you won't be able to deliver a great user experience, meaning it all starts with the user or centered around the user. Now, in regards to the different research methods, we have qualitative research and quantitative research. Now, qualitative research is focused on collecting and analyzing non numerical data, which will include participant observation, moderated and unmoderated usability testing, in depth interviews, and focus groups. Then you have quantitative research, which is focused on collecting and analyzing measurable user data. Now, some examples would be eye tracking study, product analytics, A B testing, quantitative usability testing or benchmarking, cart sorting, tree testing, as well as surveys and questionnaires. Now, for week three overview, we discuss the topic user personas. In regards to user personas, our week three objectives were to define user personas, discuss why user personas are important, identify and describe a target audience, research market competition, and develop user personas based on research. Now, this is an example that we've referred to several times throughout this course, which is a your user persona. So this is something that you had to create and also implement within your final project. So this is something that you'll see very often in regards to your user design. And then we talk about the design thinking process, where designers often start creating personas during the second phase of the define phase. Now, the design thinking process starts with empathizing, then you define, ideate, prototypes, test, and then implement. Now, after talking about user personas, it is very important for us to discuss what are target audiences. So, building your target audience consists of knowing the goals, desires, interests, and pain points of your ideal customers. Your target audience might be a broad market or niche market. For example, if you sell shoes, you might focus on a wider market as everyone wears shoes regardless of age, gender, and interest. Another topic we discuss is market competition. So, when you're doing a competitive analysis, it's important to know what market competition is. So, in UX, it refers to the process of analyzing and understanding the user experience of competing products in order to improve one's own product design, also known as UX competitive analysis. which is a technique UX researchers use to understand the competition, identify opportunities, and find an edge. Now, there are two types of competitors. You have your direct competitors, which offer the same goods and services to the same or overlapping target market. Also, your direct competitors compete on price based on the similar offerings that you have. And then you have another type of competitor, which is indirect competitor. Now, your indirect competitors are in the same market space but offer different products. They usually fulfill the same need, so the customer chooses one over the other. And then we move right along to week 4, information architecture. Now, some of the objectives for week 4 were to explain how to build information architecture to organize and support usability and findability, identify planning exercises to help organize design solutions, perform cart sorting and or tree testing, as well as create a user flow and customer journey map. Now, if you remember, we discussed information architecture and why it is important. So, information architecture helps to make information more accessible to users and to improve the overall usability of websites and other digital platforms. It also helps to improve communication, collaboration within an organization by providing a clear and consistent way to gain, access, and share information. Now, in regards to information architecture, it is important to remember that before you start designing the UI elements, you have to build out the IA elements. So, let's discuss the different types of user activities. Now, these are some activities you had to complete in week 4. Card sorting was one, which helps design or evaluate the information architecture of a website or mobile application. Then you have tree sorting. Now, with tree sorting, this is when data is too large to be sorted, like in a tree like structure. And then another activity which you had to complete in week 4 is journey mapping or customer journey mapping. This is when you visualize and understand customers as they interact with an organization. Now, when you're focused on redesigning your restaurant app, you also had to consider user flow. Now, user flow is known as a chart or diagram showing the path a user will take in an application to complete a task. It depicts the physical journey of the user through an application or software. It starts when the user opens the app or website and then goes through all the different screen and options. Then it ends when that user leaves or finishes using your app or website. With that being said, that was all the prep work you had to do before you actually had to dive into creating or recreating the restaurant app in Adobe XD or Figma. You got to choose which one you wanted to recreate your restaurant app. Now, some objectives for the topic of app design. We discussed explaining the difference between prototypes and wireframing. Also, understanding the types of fidelity design and popular techniques. We also looked at the different features between Adobe XD and Figma. We also discussed creating the very first version of your app redesign. And then also we did usability. I gave you usability feedback on your designs, as well as you got feedback from other users And now that we discussed the objectives for week 5, when do you use Adobe XD or Figma? So you use Adobe XD or Figma when you are designing low fidelity or high fidelity websites or mobile applications. You can also use Adobe XD or Figma to create sketches, digital wireframes, to lay out your ideas, add text, images, and export or share your designs. So you probably remember hearing fidelity, fidelity, fidelity. You'll hear it more often than none when it comes to fidelity. So, just a refresh on design fidelity. It refers to the level of detail, functionality, and realism. There are 3 levels of fidelity. You have your low fidelity, your medium fidelity, and then high fidelity. Now, your low fidelity is something that you'll see very often, as well as high fidelity, but medium fidelity does exist. And then when it comes to now, fidelity of a prototype or wireframe refers to how it conveys the look and feel of the product. So, what's the difference between low fidelity and high fidelity? Now, low fidelity, which is considered low fi, you'll hear this very often, is a fast way to translate high level design and used to test user flow functionality rather than the visual appearance of the product. So, this is something that you would do first. You will create a lo fi paper wireframe, which is a sketch of the different screens for your mobile app. And then you will translate that over to a high fidelity or hi fi prototype. Now, hi-fi or high fidelity appears and functions similar to the actual product and usually created when ready to test with real users or get final design approval before launching. Now, there are 2 popular techniques for both lo-fi and hi-fi prototypes. So, lo-fi or low fidelity prototyping techniques are paper prototypes or hand drawings. And then another is clickable wireframes. As far as hi fi prototyping techniques, you have your digital prototypes and your coded prototypes. Now, here's a photo that you might remember showing the difference between lo-fi and hi-fi, where lo-fi starts off with sketches. It's very simple. It's more so focused on placement and layout. And then once you get the approval from your team, then you take the extra step and put more effort into adding colors, pictures, making sure everything works before you finally go and launch. Now we are at week 6, which we discussed usability testing. Some objectives for week 6 usability testing were define and identify quantitative research methods for usability testing, plan a usability test, track, collect, and measure test data. Also, create recommendations based on test findings and persuade from those results. So, usability testing is the practice of testing how easy a design is to use with a group or representative users. Now, how to plan a usability test? You need to define the following elements: 1, the test objectives; 2, researching the approach; 3, the test moderator; 4, the different types of participants and how to select those participants; And 5, the list of tasks. Now, these elements all allow for a structured study and ensure that the resulting data is trustworthy. Now, how to track test data. There are a few ways to track test data in UX. 1, you can keep a digital or physical research journal to track the collected data during testing sessions. 2, you can create a dedicated research database where you store all of your user data. And then 3, you can use UX analytics tools such as Google Analytics or session recording tools. One session recording tool would be to have your user test during Zoom. That way you can record their entire session and use that later on. And then how to collect test data. There are a few ways to collect test data in UX design research. 1 is online surveys. 2, on site interviews. 3, user testing sessions. 4, you have your focus groups. And then 5 is A B testing. How to measure test data. Test data is often measured using various usability metrics such as test time, completion rate, task satisfaction score, error rate, and usability problems. Now, measuring test data helps designers pinpoint what works and what isn't working. In regards to measuring your test data, um, an app may be poorly written, it might be unengaging or unattractive. So, measuring that test data helps improve the work of the designer. Also, a good rule of thumb is that the minimum number of users for measuring usability is 5 users. And then we move on to findings and recommendations. After you design your research plan, you recruit your participants, conduct interviews, analyze the data, and synthesize your findings. The next step is to show off all of your hard work. With that being said, your goal for this step is to prioritize your findings based on the severity of the problems. Some examples: create a slide deck. You have email and Slack, case studies. Also, sharing your research artifacts with your stakeholders. This is something that we focused on in week 7 when we put everything all together. So, for your UX research report, we discussed some of the requirements that you had to compile together to create a UX research report. Now, what is a UX research report? It is known as a summary of the methods used, research conducted, data collected, and insights gleaned from user research. Traditional research reports are typically long text documents with detailed explanations of participant samplings, methodologies, and analysis. Now, within your user research report, you will also have to include mockups, which we discussed in week 7. So if you didn't get a chance to attend the live session for week 7, please make sure to go back and watch that video. I have some resources for you if you are trying to create mockups either in Adobe XD or Figma. So, what is a mockup? Mockup templates are considered full size or scale model of a design or device used for demonstration and test purposes. Mockups display the functionality or final look of a proposed design, and then it is also used in various stages of the design process with early concept designs to final production models. Now, here's an example of a mockup, and I also have resources available to you in regards to different mockups that you can use. So please make sure if you did not get a chance to view the live session for week 7, please make sure to watch that entire live session, submit your takeaways to me via Canvas so you can receive your full credit. And then also you can view the slides that are posted in the announcement section and also the class YouTube. So you can go back and view some examples of different mobile mockups that you can incorporate into your UX research assignment. And then we finally discuss some portfolios. Now, after you create your user research assignment, turn that into a PDF, upload it to your portfolio. Now it's time for you to lay everything out in your portfolio. So here are some examples we went over in week 7. And these are really good examples. I highly recommend you go through and click on each one so that you can get a feel for how to create your own portfolio. And this is something that is ongoing when you are creating designs as a either graphic designer, a UX designer, a UI designer, a UX researcher. Um, this is something that you're going to continuously build. So definitely check out these links here. So now that we've reached the final part, which is our class poll, what is your biggest takeaway from this course? And I would like for you to send that directly to me in the chat. I'll give you some time. All right. So let's move on to our week 8 assignments. So for the week 8 assignments, there are no new readings or learneds this week. However, you must engage and complete the Yellow Dig discussion post by Wednesday. That is the due date, Wednesday. So your initial post is due Wednesday, as well as your final goal of reaching that 1,000 points, which is 100% engagement in Yellow Dig discussions. Another assignment for week 8 is to complete your career readiness assignment. And then Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. That is the very last day to submit all late work or request an incomplete grade for a 10-day extension to submit your work. Now, this is very rare, but this has occurred before. And I want those who are unsure of their grade to know that this is an option. So let's discuss requesting an incomplete grade. Now, in rare cases, you can receive an incomplete grade for additional time to complete the course. Now, again, this is very rare because a lot is going on if you request that additional time, meaning you may start a new class. So you might have this classwork due because you're trying to catch up, and then you have classwork due for your next class, which can also be overwhelming. So if you do have to request an incomplete grade, I understand. Just remember that you must request this to me during the last week of the course. So week 8 is when you can request this incomplete grade. And Your overall grade must be a 50% or higher. That's very important to know. Lastly, 10 days is the max amount of additional time you're allowed. So you have 10 days to complete all of those uh, late assignments or resubmit any work so you can resubmit for mastery and enhance your grade. So a few more reminders for week 8. Week 8 to-do list. Now, I will post this in the announcement section for week 8. But please remember, the to-do list is here for you to refer to until the end of our course. So for our week 8 to-do list, check out the week 8 overview. Engage in Yellow Dig during week 8, which means your initial post is due by Wednesday. Also, your goal is to earn 1,000 points in Yellow Dig during week 8. That is also due no later than Wednesday. So make sure that you're engaging with your classmates. Ensure that you are posting. You can post extra if there aren't enough people engaging with your post, or you can engage with someone else's post. I will also engage with you so you can receive the max amount of points. Another item on the to-do list is your activity, which is your reflection assignment. That is due on Wednesday. Then you have to complete your career readiness assignment, which is also due Wednesday. So you have a lot of things due Wednesday. So again, my advice is to start early so you can finish early. You will have to complete your end of class survey. And please remember that all resubmitted or late work is due no later than Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. And you can reach out to me if you're having any issues with your grade, you need help with anything in regards to finishing up this course, because my goal is for you to excel and complete this class so you can move forward. Now that we've reached the end, do you have any questions? So I just want to say congratulations. We are finally at the end. This is the very last live session. We do not meet next week for week 8. So this is why we did our week 8 overview now. And please, again, let me know if you need extra time, need help with some of your assignments. Definitely reach out to me. I'm here to help, and I am so excited for you guys for making it to our very last live session. I will not see you next week, but I am so proud of each and every one of you and am excited for you to move forth in this program. So, congratulations. And if there are no questions, I will have this slide posted on during week 8, as well as have all of the videos available to you on our class YouTube. And again, if you did not get a chance to attend this live session, please make sure to go back through, answer the takeaway, send that over to me so you can receive full credit. But that is all, and have a great afternoon. Bye.